Hello everyone, today we are going to create our custom model component. It's going to be for React applications. You are going to be able to use it in every React application. It's going to be very reusable. We are going to create with just React and CSS. From my personal experience, model components exist in nearly every application. Sometimes you cannot rely on the UI framework model components. Some UI frameworks provide that. Sometimes you just don't use a UI frameworks that provides a model component, or you just use in plain CSS. So we are going to create a very good model component with some CSS and just React with a few lines of code. Create such content for you. Please hit the subscribe button down below and make sure to check that bell, and also if you like this content, hit the thumbs up. So let's get right to it. So as you can see, I already have prepared a GitHub repo for you with the content you're going to need. Right here in the master branch, you're going to find the starting boilerplate I'm going to be using. This is just the code with I have done nothing yet, just to create React apps, some basic styles, and right here in the final result branch, you're going to find the final model result, so you can check that as well. Okay, so let's get this done. Alright, so I'm right here in the directory where I like to use Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio Terminal. I can get the terminal by clicking Control and the last character on the left, right beneath each button. Okay, so I'm just going to say git clone and right click to paste in the URL of the git repo. And there you go. Now I have the boilerplate, starting boilerplate for our application. You're going to run npmi. Once you're done with installing all the packages, you should find yourself with these node modules and the package.json and the package.log.json. Okay, so in the package.json, I did not have installed anything except for the React basic applications from Create React app and Framer Motion and the PropTypes. We will get back to these later, but I just wanted you to know what are you working with. Okay, so now this application is ready to run. We are going to run npm start, and right here should open the localhost 3000. As you can see, I already have one open. Okay, so as you can see, just two buttons with applying CSS styles and a little animation on the hover. As you can see, when I click, nothing happens. Okay, so let's start by creating our model component. So right here, I'm gonna name it modal.js, and I'm going to use React module for CSS styling because I want it to be scoped. Okay, I'm going to use emit. Like this, I get a functional component. The idea of a model component is that you have a component that wraps around it different components. This component appears and disappears in a different way. As I think you all are aware of it, like it has a backdrop of it. The backdrop is going to be like, I'm going to just let me import this. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so yeah, this is how the modules work. You import it and you call class names like this. You can name it styles, you can name it class, because some other tutorials you find it named classes, not styles. Okay, so this is that, the styles backdrop. Now another div is going to be the model itself. And this model should take the children, which are the content you want, but because we want it to be reusable, so we are going to just create the model effect, the model appearance, and the model open and close, and put our content according to our components to be able to use it in different places in the same application. Okay, so I would like also to make another div. This is just for styling, and I'm gonna make it model content. You will see why in a minute. Maybe longer than a minute, but okay. So I guess this is just the basic fit. Now, right now, if I import this, I think I need to destructure it and give it to children. So right now, this is just a basic component. Like this is no model, and this is not returned from style. So I'm gonna add in some props that I'm gonna be using show, which is going to be a boolean that defines when the component appears, on close to close the component. And what else? Yes, I am going to add two optional props, which are going to be the backdrop styles and the modal styles. I'm trying to make something like look like more of a package than just a component for one time. Now the first one is the React. The first object parentheses is the React parentheses. The second one is an object, because I'm going to structure all these styles. And I'm gonna just copy this and paste it right here and change this to this, like this. Okay, so now I have now if you take a look, I have already added some styles. Let's go through them. The backdrop, it's just I'm giving it a position fixed, and I'm giving it I'm giving it the whole width and height of the page, and I'm giving it small background color with a little bit lower opacity. And the model itself is going to be inside of the backdrop. It's going to be half of its width, and I'm giving it top 10 rem because I don't want it to be right at the top of the page. I want it nearly to be in the top middle, or the top half of the page, and I want it to be in the middle, so I'm going to give it these three styles. I'm giving it a background by default, and I'm giving it just a little bit for border radius and the padding. You can always change these styles, but I'm choosing to go this way. Okay, and I'm just making it responsive by making sure that the model width goes to a little bit to 80% of the whole width in the mobile size, because 50% in the mobile size would be a little bit too small. So I did not do anything fancy yet. It's just the basic styles for the model. Now let's show our model. So the basic idea here is that when you click on one of these two buttons, these two buttons exist in our app, and the basic idea of me making both of these in two different components and not in the same component is that I want to show you that you can do this in a little bit of a different way. Like you can use the model in two different components and reuse it to show different content. You can also, by the way, put it in the app and choose to do the content conditionally, or you can put it in the app for a global model and add global components like in auth components. I have used this in one of my projects with one of my clients. I put a model in the app, I put it inside like this, and inside of it I called for auth, because we needed the auth in a model, not on a simple page. And right here I control the show by something coming from the context. So I'm I was using context API. I might do a video for this, but I'm just showing you a little bit of an example. Use context, fab context, for example. This is an example. Like, these are not existent components in our application right now, so if I save it will break. But right here I'm just gonna put like this, and by default when I click on a button in any application that changes this show auth from the context. So this is a global it's a global state. The model is going to show, so I can control this model from any place in our application because it's in the top it's the top parent component, or a top level component, the most top level component, and I can control it from the global state context. Okay, so this is a use case that might be important to you. I'm not going to use it right now. I'm just going to show you something a bit smaller. So right here I'm going to have a state. Show model, use state. By default it's false, and I'm going to be on click. And I'm going to use inline functions here because there's no need to create custom functions for this, but I would encourage you for bigger applications and bigger use cases to create your function in a bit cleaner way. Okay, right here I'm going to, I'm going to import this model. So import model right there. Okay, so model. And right now I'm going to have show equal show on close equal, and same function but just false instead of true. Okay, the other parts. Okay, let's take a look at our model. Like, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 props. the last two props are optional. Like, you may want to change the styles that we have here by default, so that's why I want it to be reusable in different components according to different states. You may not, like, you may just like the different style, the default styles for now. But these three are mandatory. Like, without them, our modal application should break, or our modal component. So the idea is I'm going to force the user to apply these three by using PropTypes. So React in the 15 version of it updated PropTypes to be a little bit of a separate package in NPMs. That's why I have it installed already for you here as one of the two packages I installed. Okay, so in our model right now I'm going to be like this. And yes, that's important to have the export in a different separate line, not export right here, to be able to use PropTypes. So I'm going to be like modal dot PropTypes, not PropTypes is going to equal an object, and inside of it I'm going to call these PropTypes. So I'm going to be PropType. Okay, this is not typed right. I have a typo right here. Okay, this is better. PropTypes dot a boolean on close is going to be PropTypes dot func. I'm copy and pasting it right now because I don't want to type too many times. Children is going to be PropTypes dot node. Now these three are required, so you're going to just do one more dot, and you're going to add is required, and again is required, and is required. Now by default, if the user does not provide these three, the application is not going to break, but it's going to show an error on your console. I think it's more of a development process. Now these two are just PropTypes.object and modal styles is PropTypes.object as well. These are not required, so I'm going to leave these like that. Okay, so yes, I think this is going to make our application a little bit tighter. Now, right here I'm just going to have an HS3, for example. This is a real modal. Heck yeah, right? I'm kidding. Okay, and B, this is first modal, because we are going to have another modal. So I'm just going to copy paste this. Yes, as you can see, I don't have the user state, and this shows copied wrong, so I should just have it like this. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this, and right here in the second. Okay, let me close some of this that we don't need. Okay, alright, so right here, and I'm going to copy the state as well. I think you can use the state in the app, but if you use it in the app, both models will open at the same time because it's the same state if you're going to pass it as props, and I'm not very big fan of prop drilling, so this is going to be a better practice because you're using a different model. But again, you can use the model in different ways. I'm going to leave this up to you. I'm going to use it this way, and I'm just going to take this and I'm going to make it like this, just one child element instead of two. Okay. So yeah, the user state is not here as well. So use state and the import. Now there is a little bit too much to it. Okay, let's see what's the result. Okay, as you can see, the style is working. One of them is over the another because both of them are open, and this is not what we want. We cannot close it. What we want is when we click on the backdrop right here in this background, it closes, and it only opens when we click on this open modal. So I think you have an idea of what I'm going to do. So I'm going to wrap this in a conditional show modal and like this. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to do the same for this one as well. Show. Now by default, these two are closed now. If I click on one of these, it's gonna open. So as you can see, but I cannot close it. There is no like the only way to close is to reload the page. This is not a good practice. So we want a component to close, a button to close it, and I'm gonna add this. But for this, I want the backdrop effect. So to get the backdrop effect, we're going to go to our model itself, and we're going to create a use effect. So I'm going to have a use effect right here. Okay, this is a little bit tricky, but I like this trick. It's one of my favorite tricks. we mix the use of use ref and use effect together and give us some good. So the idea is we want any click outside of this. I'm sorry. Okay, so we want any click outside of this modal component, this white space, to close it. So we are going to say, if we are going to put the ref on this modal component, and we are going to say modal ref. So I'm going to just give const modal ref equal use ref. No, oh my god, use ref like this. Now I'm going to have a use effect. Now the use effect is going to have, so inside of this use effect we're going to listen to any click on in the document. So we are going to have document. Okay, so listen to click in here. Oh my god. Did add event listener. Okay, so we are going to add document.add event listener, and we are going to say mouse down, and we are going to call a function we are going to create right now. Let's name it handle click. Now what I want to do is to clean up ourselves, after ourselves in a use effect we do something like this, and right here we are going to say document.remove event listener, mouse down, and handle click. What this line does is that when the component unmounts, it removes this function so that it doesn't keep running after the mount of the component. So it's helpful for the performance. Okay, so let's create this handle click function. So right here, I like the arrow function, so I'm gonna use this. Okay. Yeah, so handle click gets an event. I like to write it as E. I think it is a new version of it now. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to check if this click, if this mouse down happened inside the modal or outside the modal. So to do this, we are going to use the use ref. So if modal ref.current.contains, this is how you do it, e.target. So if this modal, this basically tells you if the click happened inside the modal, because e.target is the place where the click happened, and you check if this is inside that modal ref, which is our modal. So now let's show, so click inside modal. What you do is you do nothing, so you return. Now if it didn't happen inside the modal, within our back prop, now we close it. So how to close it? We have a prop named onClose, so we call that function, and that's it. Okay, so we are here now. Okay, I should close the modal as soon as I click in the backdrop, and there you go. Now this is not working yet, this is working. Okay, let's make the second modal work as well. So to do this, we are going to have an onClick and set show modal to true. Now let's go. As you can see, this is opening different content because it's reusable. We are adding the content according to our need. Okay, but there's one small thing. It's not that pretty. Like when you open modals, there is a little bit of animation, a little bit of beauty to it. Okay, so to do this, we are going to use the framer motion, the second package I had added for today. So we are going to import two things from framer motion, and these two things are going to be animation presence and motion. So I'm going to speed forward the process because this is not meant to be for framer motion, but I'm going to try to give you a good idea of what I'm going to do. So right here, exit before enter. What animation presence adds to our application is that it makes sure that animates on mount and unmount for components. That's one thing, and that's what we are going to need it for. Also, it makes sure to animate different components, and we are going to use this as well. Now, exit before enter makes sure that the first animation is going to be fully happening till the exit stage of it before it starts animating a different component. We are not going to need this very much, but it's going to be better. So what did we do is we are going to, sorry, I think I ruined it. Okay, yeah, we are going to say motion dot like this. Yeah, this is how motion works. It's motion, not mushu. Okay, typos again. Alright, these are the two things I'm gonna animate. Now to animate these, we need four things that come from the motion: the variance, the initial, the animate, and exit. By default, if you use this as a parent component, they are the same as child component. You don't have to type all of these, you just need the variance. But in my case, I'm going to do it differently, so I'm going to type all of these as well. So let's create the variance, and then we are going to see. So first of all, the variance, to create the variance, you kind of create an object, just a JavaScript object. So I'm gonna name it backdrop, like this. And I'm gonna create another one, and I'm gonna name it modal, like this. Okay, in the backdrop, I'm going to have hidden and the visible. The hidden is going to be opacity of 0. The visible is going to be opacity of 1. Now in the model, I want to give you I want to give you a different animation. I want to give you a zoom feeling in some sort of way, so it's going to be a little bit more work than hidden and visible. So I'm going to name initial, and I'm gonna just copy this and paste it 3 times. Now this is going to be current, and this is going to be exit. Now I think we can fill these right now. So backdrop initial is going to be hidden, animate is going to be visible, and on exit is going to be hidden again. Okay, now this is a tricky part, or this is a little bit different, because the variance is going to be modal, the initial is going to be initial, the animate is going to be the current. Okay, type is wrong. So right here, and exit is going to be exit. And I typed it wrong here. So okay, so right here in the initial, we're going to make the opacity 0 and the scale to 25% of it, like 1/4 of it. In the current, the opacity is going to be 1, the scale is going to be 1, and then the exit opacity is going to be 0, scale is going to be 0. Now what this does is that at very first render of the model, it's going to be scaled to a small scale, then gets zoomed in to reach its scale. But to make sure it zooms in right, we are going to add 2 different things. I'm going to make a transform, and yeah, the transform takes the object, not the other way around, sorry. So transform, and inside of this I am going to make delay 1. What this does is that makes sure the backdrop animation is done first, then this happens after that. And I'm going to make a transition, and I'm going to make duration to but what we can see right here is that the effect is going like this, but when we close it doesn't go well. So to do this, I'm going to make some edits. I'm not going to make conditionally inside of the component. I'm making conditionally inside of the model itself. Okay, so that's why we actually pass in the show to the model. So we are going to take this, and as you can see now, if you open, you're going to see, yeah, this is not what we want. So right here inside of the model, we are going to wrap our motion div right here with show prop and save. Now it should animate on unmount, because it should be unmounting. So as you can see, right here it's mounting, and right here it's unmounting. And as you can see, it's a better animation, a very much better behavior. I'm also going to take this line and add it right here on exit, so that it takes some time when zooming out, so that makes a better animation. So as you can see, and there you go. So this is it. This is basically it. I'm going to just update the model with one small thing. And as you remember, I created this model.content for a reason. So I'm just going to create a button, and inside of this button we are going to have an onClick function that all it does is that runs on close, and it has a class name of styles.close button. And this button is going to have the times in it, which is an X, but it's better than writing an X character in terms of styling and UI presence. Now what this button should do is that it closes the modal, and I already have some styles that I'm going to add from here, from the final result, because I have already created this before, and I also given some styles to the modal content which I created. If you can see, I already have everything in position fixed and absolute in position fixed, so I needed something to have a position relative, so that's why I created this modal content, because I want my close button to get an absolute position, to be always right at the very top of the modal. Okay, so let's see how our modal would look like right now. So yeah, as you can see right here, a very beautiful button. When you click on it, just closes the modal, and right there. Now there is something, a very small thing you can add, which is make sure you won't show this button or not. So I'm going to add a new prop and close within. It's a boolean. If it's true, you show the button. If it's not, you don't show the button. So right here, PropTypes dot bool, and it's not required. So I'm going, yeah, it doesn't know anything about this, so I'm just going to add it right here. And I am going to put it only on one of them, not both of them. So let's see. So as you can see, this is true. Now this is false, so it doesn't have a button. So this is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have learned something new today, and you will know now how to create your own custom model. No need for third party, no need for adding for hassle and adding custom styles that you don't need. If you like this content, please hit the thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. And let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, or if you want me to make a video about something specific. Okay, till next time.